Supreme Counselor Draven slammed his fist on the table. Purple blood rushed to his face, darkening his already deep indigo skin. The holographic displays around him showed the human fleet moving away victorious. His own ships lay broken and scattered across space. They will pay for this humiliation, he hissed through clenched teeth. His aides remained silent, knowing better than to speak when their leader was in such a mood. Draven stormed out of the command center. He needed to return to Zarya Prime. There he could plan without the eyes of the Galactic Council watching his every move. On Earth, crowds filled the streets of every major city. People waved flags and cheered the names of ship captains who had defeated the Zarian attack. It was the first time an alien force had directly attacked humans, and humanity had won. In the United Earth Government headquarters in Geneva, the mood was more serious. Admiral Susan Moore stood before the Emergency Council, her uniform crisp. Despite having not slept for 3 days, we won the battle, but Drafk will not accept defeat easily, she said. Zarians have never lost a military engagement in recorded history. Their culture cannot process defeat. Ambassador John Calloway nodded in agreement. He had spent years studying alien cultures before becoming Earth's main diplomat. The Admiral is right, he said. What worries me most is that Draven acted without full council approval. Some council races are already sending messages of peace. They claim Draven went too far. President Laura Bennett frowned. So what does that mean? For us, it means the Galactic Council is split, Calloway explained. Some want peace with humans, others think we need to be put in our place, and Dravnik, he will want revenge across the galaxy. On Zarya Prime, Dravnik's personal ship landed at his family estate rather than the government center. His closest military leaders waited for him there. The council is weak, Dravnik told them. They talk of peace with these humans. They even suggest I should be punished for attacking Earth. General Cal, his oldest ally, stepped forward. What would you have us do, Supreme Counselor? Officially, we will apologize. We will join peace talks, but secretly, we will build our forces. We will find a way to destroy these humans that the Council cannot stop or blame on us. On the bridge of the UES Vanguard, Commander Lisa Wright studied the star map. Her ship had taken heavy damage in the battle, but had destroyed 3 Zarian cruisers. New orders from Admiral Moore, her communications officer, said, we're to establish defensive positions around the Proxima Century colony. Wright nodded. They think the Zarians might strike there next. Intelligence suggests it's possible. It's our most vulnerable colony in the Galactic Council chambers. On neutral territory, representatives from 27 spacefaring species argued loudly. The Zarian diplomat, not Dravnik but a lower official, had offered a formal apology for the unauthorized military exercise near Earth. Some council members accepted this explanation. Others demanded sanctions against Zarya. The Melhian representative, a small gray-skinned being, spoke quietly, but all fell silent to listen. Humans defeated a Zarian battle group. This has never happened before. We all know what this means. No one answered, but all understood. Humanity had just announced itself as a major power in the galaxy. The balance had shifted back on his estate. Dravnik sat alone in his war room. On his private computer, he opened Files that only he could access. They contained research his scientists had been conducting secretly for years. Biological weapons designed to target specific species. He found the file, marked human, and began to read, a cold smile spreading across his face. On the UES Vanguard, Commander Wright gazed out at the stars as her ship moved into position around Proxima Centauri. She had a feeling deep in her gut that the real fight hadn't even started yet. 6 weeks after the failed attack on Earth, Dravnik stood in a hidden laboratory deep beneath his estate on Zarya Prime. Around him, scientists in protective suits worked at glowing stations. None of them were official government researchers. All had been hired secretly, paid with Draven's personal fortune. Show me your progress, he demanded. The lead scientist, Dr. Vex, guided him to a sealed chamber. Inside, small creatures that resembled Earth rodents moved slowly, clearly sick. The agent works quickly, said Dr. Vex. It attacks only cells with human-like DNA patterns. It will not harm any council species, only humans. Dravnik smiled. And the delivery system, we can make it airborne. 1 canister could infect an entire colony. The humans would not even know they were exposed until it was too late. Across the galaxy, Lieutenant Paul Garcia led a small team of human intelligence officers on the trading station Nexus 9. The station served as a neutral meeting point for dozens of species, including Zarians. Garcia sat at a bar pretending to drink while listening to a conversation between 2 Zarian merchants at the next table. His translator picked up their words. Dravnik is spending huge amounts on medical research, one said quietly. My cousin works in shipping, says Strain. Equipment is going to his estate, not to government labs. Medical research. The other asked, for what? Nobody knows, but it started right after their defeat by the humans. Garcia tapped his finger twice on the bar, signaling to his team member across the room to record everything. On Earth, Ambassador Calloway met with a delegation of moderate Zarians in the New Delhi Peace Center. The lead-in diplomat, Minister Craven, seemed genuinely interested in avoiding further conflict. We assure you, Ambassador. Dravnik and LT Unk and GT actions did not represent our government's wishes, said Craven. The Council of Elders has formally censured him, yet he remains Supreme Counselor, Calloway pointed out. Craven's skin darkened slightly in what humans had learned was embarrassment. His family's influence runs deep, but his powers have been limited. Calloway nodded but didn't believe it. Intelligence reports suggested Dravnik was still very much in control. In a research facility in Antarctica, Dr. Michelle Campbell studied alien biology. After the attack, the United Earth government had tripled her funding. Her team worked to understand potential biological threats to humans. Dr. Campbell, her assistant, called, "Look at these samples from the Zarian ship wreckage." Campbell examined the slide under a microscope. These aren't just mechanical components, they were collecting biological samples. She felt a chill. They were studying us, our biology, on Zarya Prime in the civilian Science Academy far from Dravnik's estate. A researcher named Carol reviewed data that troubled him deeply. As head of the ethics committee, he had access to various research requests. He had noticed a pattern of quiet inquiries about human biological vulnerabilities. Kell had opposed the attack on humans. He believed in the Galactic Council's mission of peaceful cooperation. What he was seeing now disturbed him even more. That night, Carol made a decision that could cost him his life. He composed an encrypted message and sent it through channels that might reach human intelligence. The message was brief. Weapon development, biological targeted at humans. Dravk's estate. Lieutenant Garcia received the message 2 days later. He immediately sent it to Earth Command through secure channels. This was exactly the kind of information they had been searching for. In her office in Geneva, Admiral Moore read the report. With growing alarm, she immediately called Dr. Campbell. How vulnerable would we be to species-specific Boabin? She asked without preamble. Campbell's voice was grim. Extremely. If they've studied our biology enough, they could create something that would only affect humans. Our colonies have minimal medical facilities and limited quarantine ability. Moore ended the call and stared out her window at the peaceful Earth below. So that's your plan, Dravnik, she whispered. Not ships and weapons, but something we can't shoot down. The planet Taxis shimmered like a jewel against the blackness of space. Its neutral status had made it the perfect location for the emergency Galactic Council summit. Ships from 27 different species filled the orbit around the planet. Ambassador Calloway adjusted his formal diplomatic uniform as the Earth shuttle approached the massive council hall. Beside him, Colonel William Taylor looked uncomfortable in his dress uniform. Remember, Colonel, this is a diplomatic mission, Calloway said. We're here to talk, not threaten. With all due respect, sir, it's hard to be diplomatic with someone plotting to kill your entire species, Taylor replied. Dr. Campbell, seated across from them, looked up from her data pad. Which is why I'm here. If I can get samples from this delegation, I might confirm they're developing. The shuttle landed smoothly at the diplomatic port. Representatives from across the galaxy moved through the terminal. Some were humanoid, others completely alien in form. Security drones hovered everywhere. Inside the council hall, the human delegation was shown to their quarters. Lieutenant Garcia was already there, dressed as a diplomatic aide, though he was actually leading the security team. Status report, Calloway asked once the door was secure. We've identified 6 Zarthian officials who are Draven loyalists, Garcia said. They arrived separately from the main Zarian delegation. They're staying in a different section of the complex, and our source Campbell asked no sign of Coral. He was supposed to be part of the science delegation, but he's not on any official list. The opening ceremony began the next morning. The grand chamber was enormous, with seating arranged in rising tiers around a central speaking platform. Each species had its own section adjusted for their particular biology. The Zarian delegation entered, led by Minister K.L. von Dravnik was not present, which was both a relief and a concern to the human delegates. Ambassador Calloway knew that Dravnik's absence didn't mean he wasn't influencing events. Cravan approached the human delegation. During the first recess, his manner was formal but not hostile. Ambassador Calloway, I hope we can find a peaceful resolution to recent misunderstandings. Calloway nodded politely. That is our hope as well. Minister Supreme Counselor Dravnik sends his regrets that he could not attend pressing matters of state. required his presence on Zarya Prime. Of course, Calloway replied, noting how Kravon's skin darkened slightly around the neck, a Zarian sign of discomfort or lying. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Garcia mingled with the crowd, his translator picking up fragments of conversations. He spotted one of Draven's loyalists speaking intensely with a member of the Valrax delegation, a species known for their biopen expertise during the last galactic conflict. Later that evening, Dr. Campbell set up her equipment in the secure human quarters. The air filtration system would allow her to collect trace biological samples from throughout the complex. The Zarians definitely brought something with them, she said to Calloway and Taylor. My sensors detected unusual biologic containment fields in their quarters. Soft chime indicated an incoming message. On a secure channel, Garcia checked it, then looked up with surprise. It's from Carol. He's here but not as part of the official delegation. He wants to meet. Could be a trap, Taylor warned, or our best chance to learn what Dravnik is planning, Calloway countered. Where and when? Maintenance level section 12B. In 1 hour, Garcia read, in a dimly lit corridor deep below the council chambers. Carol waited nervously. His decision to help the humans had made him a traitor to Dravnik, but not to Zarya's true ideals of peace and honor. He carried a data crystal containing proof of Dravnik's plans. He didn't notice the shadow moving behind him until it was too late. A security officer, one loyal to Dravnik, stepped into view, weapon raised. Scientist Carol, you're charged with treason against Zarya Prime, the officer said coldly. In the corridor above, Garcia and Taylor heard the sound of a scuffle. They rushed toward the meeting point, but by the time they arrived, they found only a few drops of purple Zarian blood on the floor. Carol was gone. Lieutenant Garcia paced the secure room, while Ambassador Calloway listened to Colonel Taylor's assessment of the situation. Carol has been taken to a Zarian detention vessel in orbit, Taylor said. Our sources confirm he's being held there until they can transport him back to Zarya Prime for trial. Trial? Calloway frowned. You mean execution? We need to get him out, Garcia said, stopping his pacing. He's the only one who can tell us exactly what Dravnik is planning. Calloway shook his head. We can't just raid a Zarian ship during a peace summit. It would destroy any chance of diplomatic resolution. With respect, sir, Garcia argued, if they deploy a bioweapon against our colonies, there won't be anyone left to have peace with. Dr. Campbell, who had been quietly analyzing data in the corner, looked up. I've been studying the biological traces I collected near the Zarian delegation. They match patterns consistent with a human-specific pathogen. Carol was right. A heavy silence fell over the room. How long would you need? Calloway finally asked. Garcia, 4 hours. Small team in and out. Calloway nodded slowly. I'll keep the Zarian delegation occupied in negotiations. You were never here, and I never knew about this. 4 hours later, Garcia met with his extraction team in a maintenance bay of the space station above. Taxis. Sergeant Nancy Rodriguez checked her stealth gear, while Corporal Kevin Bradley loaded specialized stun weapons. The plan is simple, Garcia told them. We dock with their ship using maintenance codes provided by station security. We find Carol, we extract him, we leave no casualties if possible, and if not possible, Bradley asked, then we do What's necessary to complete the mission? They boarded a maintenance shuttle modified for stealth approaches. As they detached from the station, Rodriguez piloted them on a roundabout course that kept them hidden among cargo vessels and diplomatic shuttles. The Zarian detention vessel loomed ahead of them, sleek and predatory, initiating docking sequence using stolen codes. Rodriguez said quietly, "There." Accepting the maintenance shuttle. Attached to an auxiliary airlock, the team moved quickly through the Zarian ship using schematics provided by Earth intelligence. Detention level should be 2 decks down, Garcia whispered. They encountered their first guards at the entrance to the detention level. Bradley deployed a neural disruptor that temporarily paralyzed the Zarians without harming them. Cell block ahead. Rodriguez reported, checking her scanner. I'm picking up 1 Zarian life sign isolated from the others. That's probably our guy. Carol looked up in surprise when the cell doors slid open. His purple skin was bruised and one of his 4 eyes was swollen shut. You're the humans, he said weakly. I hoped you would come. Can you walk? Garcia asked. Yes, we must hurry. Draven's plan. It's worse than I thought. The weapon is already being transported to your colonies. The alarm sounded as they reached the maintenance deck. Guards rushed toward them from both directions. We're cut off, Rodriguez shouted over the noise. Bradley pushed forward. I'll hold them off. Get Carol to the shuttle. That's not the plan, Garcia snapped. Plans change, Lieutenant. Bradley said calmly. This is bigger than all of us. Before Garcia could stop him, Bradley charged toward the larger group of guards, firing rapidly to drive them back into a narrow corridor. Go, he shouted. Now. Garcia hesitated for only a second before leading Carol and Rodriguez in the opposite direction. The sounds of energy weapons and shouting echoed behind them. They reached the shuttle and detached from the Zarian vessel just as more security ships began to respond to the alarm. What about your soldier? Carol asked as they accelerated away. Garcia's face was grim. He made his choice back at the summit. Ambassador Calloway was deep in negotiations when he received the simple message on his secure pad. Package retrieved. 1 casualty. He kept his face neutral as Minister Craven continued speaking about trade agreements. Inside, he mourned for the soldier he'd never met who had just given his life to save countless others. We have much to discuss about our future together, Craven was saying. Yes, Calloway replied, we certainly do. The emergency shuttle docked with the UES Vanguard, which had been waiting at the edge of the Traxxas system. Commander Wright met them at the airlock, her face serious as Garcia helped the injured. Carol aboard. Get Dr. Campbell here now, Garcia ordered. Carol has critical information in the ship's medical bay. Carol laid on an exam table, adjusted for Zarian physiology, while Dr. Campbell prepared her equipment. Ambassador Calloway and Commander Wright stood nearby waiting. Draven has created a weapon specifically designed to target human DNA, Coral explained weakly. It causes rapid cell breakdown. Death occurs within days. No known cure. How advanced is it? Campbell asked. Complete. Production began 2 weeks ago. Transport ships are already heading to human colonies disguised as merchant vessel. Garcia slammed his fist against the wall. We need to warn all colonies immediately. It gets worse, Carol continued. The weapon requires certain rare minerals to stabilize. Those same Minerals are needed for any potential countermeasure. Campbell nodded. If we could create an antidote, what would we need? Krill's 4 eyes blinked slowly. Saurian crystals from the Proxima system, metallic hydrogen from the gas giants in Tessidi, and biological samples from my own world, certain fungi that grow only in the southern forests of Zarya Prime. The room fell silent as the enormity of the task sank in. So we need materials from 3 different star systems, one of which is enemy territory, right? Summarized, while also trying to intercept Boapon transports we can't easily identify. Yes, Carol said. Simply. Calloway turned to Campbell. Can you create this antidote if we get you these materials with Carol's help? Possibly, but I'll need a full laboratory and a team of our best xenobiologists. Commander Wright activated the ship's comm system. Set course for Earth. Maximum speed. We need to brief Admiral Moore immediately on Earth. Admiral Moore mobilized the entire fleet. Ships were dispatched to all human colonies with orders to intercept and inspect any vessel approaching human worlds. Other ships were sent to collect the rare materials needed for the antidote. In her command center, Moore studied the tactical display. We have 23 colonies spread across 7 systems. We can't protect them all effectively. Her aide, Lieutenant Allen, looked grim. Intelligence suggests Draven might target our outer colonies first, the ones with the least protection. Send additional ships to New Horizon and Freedom's Point. More ordered, and get me a secure channel to Zarya's legitimate government on Zarya Prime. Dravnik received news of Carol's rescue with cold anger. His aide cowered before him. The humans know our plan, the aide said nervously. Then we accelerate the timeline. Dravnik replied. Launch all transport ships immediately. But Supreme Counselor, some are not fully loaded with now. Even if we can't eliminate all humans, we can them and add a new target there. Largest colony on Proxima Centauri, in the research facility beneath Antarctica. Dr. Campbell worked frantically with Carol. The Zarathan scientist was still weak but determined to help. The basic structure of the antidote is possible, Campbell told Admiral Moore via video link, but without all the materials, it will only be partially effective. It might buy infected people time but not save them. The UES Defiant will reach Ta City tomorrow to collect the metallic hydrogen. Moore replied. The UES Relentless is already in the Proxima system gathering Saurian crystals and the Zarian fungi. Campbell asked. Moore's face hardened. That's more complicated. We're still trying diplomatic channels, but the Zarian government claims they know nothing about biological weapons. They're blocking all access to their world. On the bridge of the UES Vanguard, Commander Wright received an emergency transmission from New Horizon Colony. The colony's governor appeared on screen, his face pale with fear. We have reports of a strange illness spreading through the eastern district, he said. People are showing symptoms unlike anything our doctors have seen before. High fever, internal bleeding, cellular breakdown. Wright closed her eyes briefly. They were too late. The race against time had just become even more desperate. Panic spread through New Horizon Colony as the illness claimed its first victims. The Colonial Medical Center was overwhelmed within days. Commander Wright arrived with the UES Vanguard carrying emergency medical supplies and Dr. Campbell's partial Antidote. This will slow the disease. Dr. Campbell explained via holographic link from Earth, but without the complete formula, it won't stop it entirely. Wright watched as medical teams in protective suits moved through the streets, setting up quarantine zones and distributing the partial antidote. Already over 2,000 colonists showed symptoms. 37 had died. We've locked down the colony, Governor Frank Peters told Wright in the Emergency Command Center. No ships in or out, but we don't know how many were exposed before we realized what was happening. Wright's communicator beeped. Admiral Moore appeared on the small screen, her face grim. Commander, we've detected similar outbreaks on Freedom's Point and Green Haven colonies. Dravnik struck all three simultaneously. Wright felt cold anger building inside her. How many dead? 22 on Freedom's Point, 46 on Green Haven. The numbers are climbing hourly. News of the attack spread quickly through human space. On Earth, crowds gathered outside government buildings demanding action. Fear turned to rage as images of sick colonists appeared on news feeds. In the Galactic Council chambers on Traxxas, Ambassador Calloway confronted the Zarian delegation publicly. 3 human colonies have been attacked with biological weapons, he said, his voice echoing through the Grand Hall. This is not war, this is genocide. Minister Craven appeared genuinely shocked. Zarian government had no knowledge of this. If such attacks occurred, they were not sanctioned by. We have proof. Calloway interrupted, projecting images of the transport ships and data from Carol onto the main display. Supreme Counselor Dravnik ordered these attacks personally. Murmurs spread through the chamber as representatives from other species viewed the evidence. The Melian delegate stood. This violates the most sacred laws of the council. The small gray alien stated biological weapons were banned after the sickness conflict. Meanwhile, in orbit around Zaria Prime, a small stealth ship approached the night side of the planet. Lieutenant Garcia sat at the controls with Sergeant Rodriguez beside him. They wore dark combat suits designed for covered operations. Entering atmosphere in 3 minutes, Rodriguez said quietly. No detection so far. Their mission was simple but nearly impossible. Land in the southern forests of Zaria Prime. Collect samples of the fungi Coral had described and escape without being caught. Remember, Garcia told Rodriguez. We get in, get the samples, and get out. No engagement with enemy forces unless absolutely necessary. The ship slipped through the atmosphere using the planet's magnetic field to mask its approach. They landed in a small clearing surrounded by towering purple trees. Oxygen levels safe, but gravity is 1.2 times Earth normal, Rodriguez noted as they prepared to exit. Fungi should be near water sources. According to Carol's information, they moved silently through the alien forest, following a small stream. Their scanners were calibrated to detect the specific biological signature of the fungi they needed. Back on Earth, Admiral Moore received a transmission from Dravnik himself. His purple face filled the screen, his 4 eyes cold and calculating. Admiral Moore, by now you've discovered what happens when you defy the natural order of the galaxy, he said. Your species is young and arrogant. You were not ready to join the Galactic Council. Moore kept her face neutral. What do you want, Dravnik? Your surrender complete and unconditional. Human worlds will become Protectorates of Zarya, your military, will be disbanded, your technology turned over to us, and if we refuse. Dravnik smiled coldly. Then every human colony will suffer the same fate as New Horizon and then Earth itself. After the transmission ended, Moore turned to her staff. How close is Dr. Campbell to completing the antidote? She has the materials from Proxima and Tassidi. Her aide replied, everything depends on Lieutenant Garcia's mission now. On Zarya Prime, Garcia and Rodriguez found the fun growing on the banks of a small pond. As they collected samples, alarm sirens began to wail in the distance. They detected us, Rodriguez said. Urgently, we need to move now. As they raced back toward their ship, the forest behind them came alive with the sounds of pursuit. Zaryan security forces crashed through the forest behind Garcia and Rodriguez. Energy weapons fired, scorching trees and undergrowth. The two humans ran toward their hidden ship, the precious fungal samples secure in Rodriguez's pack. They're closing in. Rodri gasped as they reached the clearing. We won't make it off planet without a fight. Garcia activated his communicator. This is Lieutenant Garcia. To all UES ships, we have the package, but need immediate extraction. Our cover is blown. To their surprise, a response came instantly. Lieutenant, this is Admiral Moore on the UES Defender. We're in Zaryan orbit, sending coordinates for rendezvous. Hold position. For 3 minutes, Garcia and Rodriguez shared a shocked look. The Admiral herself had come to Zarya. What are 3 minutes of safety worth to you? Rodriguez asked, checking her weapon. Everything, Garcia replied. Understanding her plan, go get the samples to the rendezvous point. I'll hold them here and make them think we're both still with the ship. Rodriguez nodded once, then disappeared into the dense forest, heading for the new coordinates. Garcia turned to face the approaching Zaryan forces, setting his weapon to maximum power. Above Zarya Prime, Admiral Moore watched from the bridge of the UES Defender as 5 other Earthships dropped out of faster than light travel around the planet. It was the largest human fleet ever assembled, and it had arrived with one purpose: to end Dravnik's threat permanently. All ships maintain position. More ordered, prepare to receive extraction team, then target Dravnik's estate with precision strikes. Minister Kavon's face appeared on the main screen. Panicked, Admiral Moore. This is an act of war against Zarya Prime. No, Minister, this is a precise strike against a war criminal. Your own evidence from the council session confirms Draven acted without government approval. Another face appeared on a secondary screen, an older Zaryan female with formal government insignia. Admiral Moore, I am High Elder Schuyler of the Zaryan Council. Minister Kavon speaks the truth. We had no knowledge of Dravnik's biological attacks. Then you won't object to his removal? Moore replied coolly. After a pause, the High Elder nodded. The Council of Elders withdraws protection from Supreme Counselor Dravnik. His actions do not represent Sortha. On the surface, Garcia fired repeatedly as Zaryan security forces surrounded the clearing. He had set the ship's engines to overload, planning to use the explosion as cover for his escape. Just as the Zaryans closed in, the forest canopy ripped open as a human shuttle descended, guns blazing. Lieutenant, move now, came a voice over his communicator. Garcia sprinted for the shuttle as his ship exploded behind him, throwing Zarian soldiers to the ground. Inside the shuttle, he found Rodriguez and a team of special forces led by newly promoted Captain Ryan Cooper. The Admiral sent us to make sure you got out, Cooper explained as the shuttle rocketed upward. Those fungi samples are our last hope. In his estate, Dravnik received warnings of the human fleet too late before he could reach his personal escape ship. The ground shook with the first precision strikes. Ceiling panels fell around him as he stumbled toward his command center. Launch all remaining bioweapon transports, he shouted to his loyal staff. Target Earth directly. His chief scientist looked at him with fear. Supreme Counselor, the Council of Elders has withdrawn your protection. All launch codes have been locked. We can't. Draven shot him without hesitation, then turned to the others. Who remains loyal to me? One by one they backed away. On Earth, Dr. Campbell received the fungal samples within hours. Working with Carol and her team, she completed the antidote formula. Begin production immediately, she told her staff. Priority distribution to the affected colonies. Admiral Moore addressed the United Earth government from orbit around Zaria. Dravnik has been captured by Zarian authorities loyal to their Council of Elders. His Boipan facilities have been destroyed. The threat is contained. President Bennett looked relieved but cautious. And the colonies already affected. The antidote is being distributed now. It will save those who haven't reached the final stages of the disease, but we've lost over 3,000 people already. Bennett's expression hardened. Then Zaria has much to answer for. Dravnik stood in the center of the Galactic Council chamber, surrounded by guards from 6 different species including humans. The entire council had gathered for this special tribunal, the first of its kind in over 300 years. Supreme Counselor Dravnik of Zaria Prime, the council speaker, announced, you stand accused of crimes against sentient life, the use of biological weapons, attempted genocide, actions taken without the consent of your government. Dravnik's 4 eyes showed no remorse. I acted to protect the galaxy from a dangerous new species. Humans are unpredictable and violent. Captain Garcia, sitting with the Earth delegation, felt his anger rise but kept his face neutral. He had been promoted after the mission to Zaria Prime and now served as security chief for Ambassador Calloway. High Elder Sholter of Zaria stood slowly as head of the Zarian government. I must speak. Dravnik's actions brought shame to our people. We offer our deepest regrets to humanity for the suffering he caused. She turned to face Dravnik directly. You did not protect Zaria. You nearly destroyed us through your arrogance. President Bennett rose next. 3,412 humans died from the bioavan attacks. Children, elders, innocent civilians. Earth demands justice. Draven sneered, you know nothing of justice. You are children playing at. He stopped, suddenly pressing a hidden button on his wrist cuff. Alarms blared throughout the chamber as security forces moved to subdue him. What did you do? The council speaker demanded. Draven smiled coldly. Insurance. My loyal followers placed self-destruct devices throughout this facility. You all die with me today. Captain Garcia was already moving, grabbing Ambassador Calloway and pushing him toward the exit. Everyone out now. The chamber erupted in chaos as Delegates rushed toward the exits. The countdown appeared on all screens. 3 minutes until destruction. We won't all make it out in time, Commander Wright said as she helped coordinate the evacuation. Admiral Moore's voice came over the emergency channel. All human personnel, protective positions around. Council members, get as many out as possible. Human security forces moved through the panicking crowd, creating pathways for evacuation, putting themselves between danger and the delegates of other species. Captain Garcia led a team to the facilities central control room. We need to find the detonation controls and stop them. Lieutenant Cooper worked frantically at the main console. The system's locked down. I can't override it. Then we evacuate as many as possible, Garcia ordered. In the main hangar, Earth shuttles were loading delegates without regard for species or status. Commander Wright coordinated the effort, directing people to the nearest available transport. With 30 seconds remaining, Zarian security forces dragged Draven toward a shuttle. Garcia intercepted them. The evidence files, he demanded. Where are they? Dravnik laughed. Gone. With this station, Garcia searched him quickly, finding a data chip hidden his ceremonial collar. He grabbed it just as the first explosions rocked the station. The evacuation shuttles launched seconds before the main detonation. From space they watched as the Galactic Council station broke apart in a series of explosions. 1 week later, a new temporary council chamber had been established on Earth. The first time the Galactic Council had ever met on human territory. Representatives from all 27 species attended, though some sent junior delegates. Still uncertain about this young species, High Elder Schuyler signed the reparations agreement with President Bennett. Zaria would provide medical technology, trade advantages, and direct aid to the affected colonies. Further, Shilterra announced, the Council of Elders has voted to offer humanity a permanent seat on the Galactic Council. Murmurs spread through the chamber, but no objections were raised. In a simpler ceremony that followed, Krello received Earth's highest civilian honor for his courage in warning humanity about the Boweapon. Still weak from his ordeal, he leaned on a cane as President Bennett placed the medal around his neck. Your actions saved countless lives, Bennett said. You chose what was right over what was easy. Later that evening, Admiral Moore and Ambassador Calloway stood on the balcony of the new council building, looking at the stars. We've gained respect, Calloway observed, and a seat at the table. Moore nodded, but at a terrible cost. Was it worth it? Moore considered the question. We didn't start this fight, but we finished it.